3 men in fake uniforms showed up at my gate waving papers and calling themselves community police. One grabbed the latch, got blasted backward by my electric fence, and landed in the bushes like a cartoon character. Another spotted the Glock sitting on my coffee table and froze solid sweat dripping down his neck. What they didn't know was that every second of their little stunt was being recorded, and that was only the beginning of the craziest HOA war my county had ever seen. Act 1. The conflict begins. My name's Ray Dobson. I'm 52 years old, a retired defense systems engineer. After 25 years designing security for military bases, I'd had enough of bureaucracy and chain-of-command nonsense. So I bought myself a lakefront cabin at Cedar Point, Texas. 3 acres, 200 feet of shoreline, my own slice of freedom. I told myself no more meetings, no more bosses, no more neighbors telling me what color my mailbox should be. The previous owner mentioned a voluntary HOA. That word voluntary was all I needed. I wasn't interested in joining anything that could tell me how to live. For 6 months, life was exactly what I wanted. Sunrise coffee on the deck afternoons, tinkering on my boat evenings, reading technical manuals just because I liked them. Peace, quiet, control. Then the letters started. The first one was almost friendly. A welcome from the HOA president, Evelyn Maris. I wrote back politely, thanks, but no thanks. The second was less friendly, reminding me of the community benefits. By the 5th, the tone had turned legal, talking about compliance periods and enforcement protocols. But here's the thing. I'd done my homework. My cabin was built before the HOA existed, and in Texas you can't be forced into one unless you signed for it in your deed. And I sure as hell didn't. Evelyn didn't care about the law. She cared about power. I dug into her background. Turns out she used to teach community law at UT Dallas, fired for conflicts of interest. Now she ran some company called Neighborhood Solutions LLC, supposedly resolving community disputes. From where I sat, that meant muscling people into her HOA whether they wanted it or not. So I did what any paranoid ex-engineer would do. I upgraded my defenses. Cameras with facial recognition motion sensors, a perfectly legal low-voltage electric fence. My Glock sat on the coffee table right under the castle doctrine, every inch of it above board. So when that white SUV rolled up with 3 guys in knockoff uniforms and Highland security magnets on the doors, I was ready. The leader shoved papers in my face, calling them mandatory compliance orders. I asked for a badge, a warrant. He flashed a laminated ID card that looked like it came out of a bubblegum machine. When he grabbed my gate, 12 volts shot up his arm, not dangerous, just enough to fry his pride. He yelped, toppled into my bushes, lost a shoe. His buddy peeked in my window, saw the Glock and the note taped to it, in case of emergency break glass. Or don't know glass needed. His face drained white. The third man saw my camera and muttered, "We need to leave." And just like that they bolted. But in their scramble they dropped something, a small USB drive. And that right there changed everything. Act 2. Escalation and turning point. I plugged the USB into a sandboxed system, expecting maybe a forged contract. Instead, I found an entire operational plan. Operation Lakeshore. My cabin was marked bright red, high-resistance target. Former military, advanced protocols required. Other homes around the lake were coded green, yellow, red. Each file had personal details, family members' jobs, even pets. This wasn't a neighborly HOA drive. This was surveillance, organized intimidation. The plan broke down into phases. Phase 1, contact and assess. Phase 2, enforcement for non-compliant owners. Phase 3, final resolution. No definition, just those 2 words. I called Evelyn, told her I had the drive. Silence. Then a cold voice. "We should meet Mr. Dobson." I told her fine, but I picked the place, and she'd better come alone. Meanwhile, I looped in Sheriff Daniel Morrison. Good man, straight shooter. When I handed him the USB, his jaw tightened. "Son, this ain't an HOA spat. This is organized crime. HOA." And he was right. It wasn't just me. The Kowalskis, an elderly couple nearby, had already been hit. Fake fire inspectors set off smoke bombs inside their house, pressured them to sign HOA contracts while Martha coughed so hard she cracked a rib. These weren't busybodies with clipboards. These were predators. That night, driving home, I saw my cabin door cracked open. Inside on the table, a handwritten note. "We can reach you any time. You have 48 hours to reconsider." For the first time, my confidence cracked. I sat there in my kitchen Glock in hand, asking myself if I'd made a mistake. Maybe I should have just signed their stupid papers. Maybe I'd gone too far with the paranoia, the cameras, the fences. Maybe I was the crazy one. And then I thought about Martha Kowalski lying in the hospital, about Henderson's grandson Tommy riding his bike by the lake every afternoon, about the sheer audacity of strangers watching me sleep in my own home. That's when doubt turned to fire. No, I wasn't wrong. They were wrong. And if they wanted to test my resolve, they were about to find out how deep it went. But before I could strike back, they escalated further. Tommy vanished after school. No record of who picked him up. Henderson was frantic eyes, bloodshot voice cracking. Then came the message. "Tomorrow, Riverside Park. Come alone, or the boy gets hurt." This wasn't harassment anymore. This was kidnapping. That's when the FBI stepped in. Agent Sarah Mitchell, cool, sharp, no nonsense. She looked me dead in the eye and said, "We'll have eyes everywhere, but we need you to go. Keep them talking. Buy us time." So that was it. The next day, it was me, Evelyn, and a kidnapped 8-year-old's life hanging in the balance. Act 3, Climax and Justice. Riverside Park, 2 in the afternoon. Families everywhere, kids on swings, joggers, dog walkers. The perfect camouflage. Evelyn walked up with 2 bodyguards. Not the rent-a-cops from before. These men moved like military. Real weapons, real training. My pulse spiked. "Ray," she said, voice colder than the lake in January, "you forced us to escalate. Tommy is safe for now, but his safety depends on you." Her casual tone when mentioning that boy made my stomach turn. "What kind of HOA kidnaps children?" I asked, keeping my voice steady. "The kind that gets results," she shot back. Then she twisted the knife. "Your sister Sarah learned the importance of cooperation. Portland Hills wasn't random, Ray. We studied your family. We used her as practice." It felt like a gut punch. My sister's financial collapse engineered just to test how much pain I could take. For a second I almost broke. My throat closed, my hands shook. But then training took over. You don't negotiate with kidnappers, you neutralize threats. I leaned in close and whispered, "You made one mistake, Evelyn." She tilted her head smug. "And what's that?" I smiled cold and steady. "You assumed I'd negotiate." I gave the signal. From every direction, agents rose. Joggers drew pistols. Maintenance workers pulled badges. Parents on benches dropped the act and shouted, "FBI, hands up." The park erupted. Families screamed, scrambled, but the perimeter was already sealed. Evelyn's bodyguards froze, smart enough to surrender rather than start a firefight in a playground. Evelyn's face, that smug Karen confidence, cracked for the first time as agents shoved her to the ground, cuffed her wrists. At the same time, another team stormed Neighborhood Solutions office. They found Tommy in a basement conference room, scared but unharmed, sitting beside bags of evidence. The whole operation blown wide open. Evelyn spat at me as they hauled her away. "You think this ends here? Ray, prison is temporary. Money is forever." Maybe she believed that. But watching her shoved into the back of a federal van, powerless for the first time, I knew one thing for certain. Her reign was over. Final lesson. Bullies thrive on fear until someone stands up and refuses to play their game.